officially live from New York. It's the not ready for primetime players, right? Isn't that what it is?
That's us.
That's us. That's very much us. So hi everybody, welcome to LessonPix Live again, and we are at officially virtually at ATIA for the product showcase. And on the flip side, we've decided to use this time to also publish this live on YouTube and Facebook for all of our members. Now, what I will do while we're here, Jane, I haven't been doing this, but I will, just because of how popular you are. I'm also going to take this and I'm going to share it in the AAC Language Lab. Maybe.
Sure.
I think I can. Share in a group. Share.
Oh, I might need to approve it.
Yeah, let's see. Share. Copy link. Screw it. And we'll go to the AAC. So Jane, we're here with Jane Odom. For those of you who are wondering why we're like waiting for a second while we post it, we're here with Jane Odom from Prenke Romick, who is also the director, boss at the AAC Language Lab, which is not just Prenke Romick. It is about AAC best practices and how to do all kinds of AAC stuff. And she's doing that on Facebook and online and at the Language Lab website. And she's there. What is your job? It's you're director of education or something like that.
I am a training and implementation specialist.
Gotcha.
I run the AAC Language Lab, and I run our ambassador program.
Excellent. And that's the fun one. You get to meet all the awesome people who use your
And in
tools.
fact, one of our ambassadors is winning the Esther and Ed Prenke Romick Award in an hour.
Really? Who is it?
Yeah, and ATIA sponsors that. So that's like really exciting that Kevin Williams is going to win, and he is fabulous. He's
awesome
from North Carolina.
And I think Lori, I think my daughter Allie works with another one of your ambassadors in Arizona, Krista, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So we
have 103 ambassadors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, why don't we do a little bit of background, because we're kind of jumping in, assuming everybody knows who we are and what we're doing. So I am Bill Binko from LessonPix. My wife Lori and I, in the some other corner in this view, are founders of LessonPix.com, and Beth Poss is a speech pathologist who works for LessonPix now as well, which was quite the coup to get Beth to join us last year, and we're glad she's here as well. We actually have some cool people in the participants now as well. We had Vicky Haydix there and some other awesome people. But Jane is a longtime friend of ours and is part of why we can say we have all the Unity symbols inside of LessonPix. I'm not just part of it. She grabbed me by the collar and at a Closing the Gap one day and said, we need all of our pictures in LessonPix because I need it for the Language Lab. And we just inked a $0 deal and made it happen, right?
We did.
Kind of cool. And freaked out everybody along the way. But it totally worked. So Jane is the reason we now have all of the Unity symbols from Prenke Romick inside of LessonPix. And she's also the reason why all of the awesome materials that she makes for the Language Lab are all made by LessonPix, or many of them are made in LessonPix. Fair enough?
Yes.
All right. So welcome to everybody who's joining us. We are going to take, if you are in the Zoom session, I have made it so you can't turn on your video because otherwise it'll be a mess. But you can ask your questions in the chat, and we will also open up all your mics later to say hi and to chat with us at the end of the session. We probably are going to have to end right at 4:45, 4:50 today because I think Jane has a event at 5, don't you? A PRC
Sure.
event? Yes.
Well, the Ed Prenke award ceremony is next.
Excellent. Yeah. So, all right. So, thank you for joining us. So, we're gonna talk a little bit with Jane about the Language Lab, what it is, and why you all should know about it. and then a little bit about maybe Unity, give a little bit of background on that. And then we'll show some things, like we'll show using Unity in LessonPix and what you've made with it. Does that sound like a plan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, Ms. Odom, can I give you the floor and you can give me a little bit of background on what you're doing?
So sure. So I've been with PRC almost 20 years now. So it's been quite the journey. I started off as a consultant and I've moved up into more of an implementation specialist. So my whole background is in education, but I was able to go to Temple University and study under Dr. Diane Bryan and Amy Goldman, who had a brand new assistive technology program at that point in time called ACES that I was part of. And then I went back and taught that for 9 years, where we worked with actual adults using AAC and making sure that they had everything that they needed. But when I came on board with PRC, we had a beginning of the language lab, and it was kind of like, do you ever have that like drawer in your kitchen where you just dump all the junk?
Yes.
That's what the lab used to be. It was like people could just post whatever they wanted, and there was no rhyme or reason. There was no organization. And we knew that, there were really good ideas out there for getting our device users up and running and excited about communicating, but we needed to have some structure. We needed to have some quality control. So that was what I was on a team that started the AAC Language Lab. So we based it on Brown stages of language development so that everything could be organized. We did expand that just a little bit to kind of take into consideration the fact that when kids get devices, when they get their very first AAC device, they're going to need a little bit extra time to like learn where all those words are, and then we can start bringing the language and the grammar and all that into it. So there's 6 stages on the language lab, but we are on now version 2 of the site, because when people have suggestions or they have complaints or comments, we literally write everything down. And so when we look at development, we find, what do people really, really want? So there's a lot of new features that are in the latest, greatest version of the lab that make things really great. And Bill, we just released our smart chart generator on the site because people have had the complaint with PRC that our emulating software is only on PC. It's only available as a PC program, and a lot of people use Macs or Chromebooks now. So now there's a smart chart generator on the lab where you can actually get your icon sequences for Unity, Words for Life, as well as Word Power. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on because the whole thing is online.
Web-based. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And we've had a long conversation. The reason she said, Bill, because we actually had a long conversation about the fact that you were making those manually. And actually, I think at some point you were using the symbols that you had given us, or you're using back through LessonPix to make them manually. But I'm glad you have the tool for making it. I suppose it would probably make sense for people to understand a little bit about Unity and why you would need that. By the way, does anybody know how I can get the ding dong bell to stop? Because it's driving me a little bit bonkers. No? Okay. Sorry, everybody, for the doorbell sound as people are joining, because we're getting all kinds of people who want to talk to Jane more than anybody else this week. And we've had one every day. Jane brings the party.
Yeah.
So that's how it works.
I have the job everybody wants. I have a fun job. I get to create things all day long, which is super, super cool. And LessonPix makes it that much easier.
Yeah, I think it is. It is certainly true. So Unity, just briefly, is a helpful language system, and I think most of the speech paths that I've worked with recognize it as, if not the best, one of the best language systems out there, one of the most robust ones out there. Certainly the most widely used robust system out there, and it allows you to make words by pairing symbols, by making combinations of symbols, which is really powerful, right? It's a idea.
The way it started was actually Bruce Baker was the developer of the original word strategy, or MinSpeak as he called it, and it was based on hieroglyphics because pictures can have multiple meanings. And so what he was trying to avoid doing was giving one word a picture, because if you expand your vocabulary to 4,000 words and then there's 4,000 pictures that go on there, it's crazy.
Right.
By having those multi-meaning icons that can be looked at a variety of different ways, you can focus more on the communication and less on matching a picture with a word kind of thing.
Right. Like, a good example of that would be like the apple. You look at an apple, it means an apple, but it means food. And then if you add the adjective, it means hungry, right?
Exactly.
And things like that. You can modify these things, and they make sense. After you've learned them, they make sense, right?
For most people, yeah. And usually the kids get it before the adults do.
Gotcha.
You know,
Yes.
less of a problem with it than the adults. But then the other thing that happens is because you're finding words with less than 3 keystrokes. So that was the goal, is to get to every word with 3 keystrokes, and things are always in the same place. It becomes automatic. It becomes like typing. So I've had, AAC users, some of my ambassadors, like maybe they're in my car with me and it's pitch black and they're still talking to me, without their device being lit up because of that motor pattern. They can get in there, and it's fascinating to see a really, really good device user, because it's almost like they're playing a piano.
Right. Well, that works right into another PRC person, John Holleran's work about motor planning, right? It plays right into that as well. So,
but there is a learning curve in the beginning. And so that's the big criticism, is like, oh, it's so hard to learn. But you know what? In the long run, 10 years, 20 years down the road, those are going to be your most effective communicators. It's really powerful.
Right. Right. So you wanted to have a tool for making materials for the language lab. You also wanted these symbols to be available within LessonPix to make supporting materials for your users. We made that happen. Why don't we actually show a couple things real quick? Would you mind if I went ahead and shared my screen for a second? And I'm going to show where people can find this. So this is still LessonPix Live, so I assume most of you are somewhat familiar with LessonPix. This is LessonPix in a Chrome browser. I'm just going to make it full screen. If you go into the clip art tab where all of our pictures are, we need to update this number. There are now 56,000 plus symbols in here. 50,000 are the ones that Lori drew, or one of our other artists drew a few of them. And then in here, you'll find both here on the left where it says PRC Unity symbols, or down here where you see Action Man. You can click here as well, and you will get all of the Prenke Romic Unity symbols. So that includes the subset, which are the lamp words for life symbols. It also includes all of the Unity symbols and all of the Unity 2 symbols. Is that the right name for the new ones? Or is it Lamp 2?
Yeah, Unity 2.0.
Unity 2.0. So all of them are in here. And so even like the different variations, like the purple guy is here and the dude is here. You'll also see a couple like this one, which aren't really Unity symbols. They are Unity symbols that we have made high contrast, which we'll talk about in a little bit. All these symbols are in here. These are older symbols that have been around for a while, but that were basically either redrawn to be vector-based, like this one was, or converted into our tool so that now you can use this like any other LessonPix symbol. So if you wanted to have a bingo game and you were teaching what these meanings were, if you wanted to use just the picture cards to make your own grid of pictures, to do the smart charts, like the kind you were talking about, you can do that. You can do that right here inside of this tool, and all of them are here. Now, in my case, because I do a lot of work with the LAMP system, because I support this a lot, you will also see that if I do a search for the word above, you will see that the Unity symbols come up first in my search. Now, that's not the default. So that is actually a feature you have to turn on. I'll show the LessonPix members how to do that here. If you go to your LessonPix right here, and then if you click where it says edit next to your name, this is actually a preferences setting. You can do things like turn on and off restricted images. You can change your password. But one of the options is you can say whether or not to include Unity and LAMP in the search results. By default, that says hide, because if you're not using a Unity device, they don't match our symbols perfectly. It doesn't quite look right to throw them in there. But if you are using Unity or LAMP, click show, and then whenever you do any searches, including like the Sound Finder, if you do a Sound Finder search for I don't know, things that end in out, the end of the word. You will find the PRC symbols will be in here as well. So here's out. These are the PRC ones here. Okay, like out, and about will be here as well down further. So we'll do 2-syllable out words. How about that? And there's about, right? There's the about. And you see, we do show the PRC ones up early in the search results. So that's probably a good enough introduction on how to get these symbols inside of LessonPix. Jane, do you want to show the language lab? Can you bring up your screen and show the language lab?
Okay. So I am not a
Zoomer.
Zoomer.
There was going to be a quiz?
Huh?
You didn't know there was going to be a quiz?
You're going to make me like, you're going to test my Zoom.
That's okay. Let me, I don't think you can actually do it right now because I don't think I made you a, look at that. Hold on, Jane. And Jane's name is 02B2 Jane. Okay.
Is it?
I guess so.
He's my brother, so.
All right. So now you should be able to share your screen.
Share my
There's be a big green button at the bottom.
All right.
She didn't know.
I'm working on it.
There you go.
All right. So here, we'll go to the home. Here's the AAC Language Lab, and it's aaclanguagelab.com. It's pretty simple. And it is a subscription site, but we do have a lot of free stuff on here, so you can kind of try before you buy kind of thing. So here on the homepage, there's a lot of free resources. You can check out free lesson plans, activities, resources. But then when you get in here, there are tons of lesson plans, again, based on language objectives. And then we also have activities based on language objectives. So if you're looking for a full lesson plan with lots of stuff in it, you would do that. If you're just looking for a one activity, then you can go to the activity section. So right up here, we have lesson plans or activities.
And these are, like, if you look at the stages, those are the stages of using your AAC device, correct?
Yeah, so this will let you know, when you get through stages 1 and 2, and that's basically learning where the words are and how to combine them into simple phrases. But once you get to like stage 3, then you're going to like see, oh, now I need to look at introducing plurals. Like this is when a child would learn to the difference between 1 cookie and 2 cookies, and then how to use negatives and how to work on prepositions. But it kind of lets you know when to introduce those grammatical categories into your therapy or into your teaching. So, you go through the whole entire lab, you get to stage 6, and you're going to have a pretty decent communicator at that point in time.
Gotcha.
And so here's a brand new lesson plan that literally went up today that I have a lot of stuff that I made in LessonPix.
Let's see it.
So we're going to go on a virtual field trip. So a lot of our kids are kind of stuck in the Zoom world, or stuck in their houses, or, maybe not going to school full time yet. And so this gives you a couple sites that you can go to do some virtual field trips. And then we've got a scavenger hunt where kids are going to learn indefinite pronouns. So they're going to words like anything, anyone, everywhere, nothing, nobody. And so, oh, look, where did this come from?
Yeah, that looks like our map. That looks like Lori made that. So that is for those of you who don't know, that is actually a LessonPix map that was made inside of.
I was wondering how long it would take to deliver to Upper Butcher Road in Ellington for just a grinder and a burger.
So Beth or Lori, can you find out how long it will
Right, yeah, it's about 5 minutes
from
drive.
road?
So, do you think it would be before 5 o'clock? 4:20.
I want a burger.
Let's rat her out.
Put the orders in. I'll take one.
That would be Anne. We won't use her last name, but she did not mute. So she's one of our attendees here, Jane. She does live on Boojum Road. So.
Well, if you forget to mute, you have to buy for everybody.
That's right. That's right. It's kind of like when you use the restroom with the unmuted. So go ahead. I've muted her.
She's our best friend though now.
So here's another one that I wrote that I used LessonPix for. So this was the postcard template. But I will tell you, Bill, what I do is I go into Adobe and I make these fillable text boxes. So they become like actual templates that you can connect a device to and write directly into that with
Another way, if you don't want to do that in PDF for anybody else, you can also do that in PowerPoint now that we have the export in PowerPoint format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what would take me hours before LessonPix would be something like a bingo game, which I can literally throw together in minutes.
Yep.
Because the templates are so easy.
And I love the fact that you've got a combination here of Unity symbols and LessonPix symbols thrown in there, because sometimes there's not a Unity symbol that is ideal for the concept you're working on. Not every word in the world has a Unity symbol.
Correct.
And there are 10 times as many LessonPix as there are Unity. So the fact that you can put them together and throw them into a game like this, and it'll make, how many do you have? 10 or 5 cards that you had made all of a sudden?
Yeah, so there's 4 cards in here, and then all the
ones to draw from the hat.
But Bill, like the Language Lab, I mean, we do have support specifically for Unity and for word power because we are PRC Saltillo now.
Right.
Every activity that I put something up, like not everybody uses Unity, so having the LessonPix symbols to make something more generic,
right,
is always there. So you're going to have an option on the site. If you're not using Unity, you're not using Words for Life, that's fine. If you're using another system, there'll be a generic version, and that's what I use Lori's drawings for.
Yeah.
And that's, so for this one, it just made sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have been, I think I've been a member of the Language Lab since we first started about this, right? And I'm an engineer. I don't use it on a day-to-day basis, but I've kept my eye on it, and I've seen how you've been using it with LessonPix. Certainly, it's been great to see and to get feedback from you on what works and what doesn't. So Jane has told us over the years things we needed to fix and things that were awesome. But I think at this point it's working really well. We've got.
Oh, actually, this is one of my. You actually let me create something. So when I made this request for the cootie catcher.
That's true. That's right.
And that cootie catcher is in this lesson plan. So I just showed this on Facebook Live today. Was a little fortune teller. So here's this game.
So let's take this as an example. Let's
make one right there.
Yeah. Let's actually make this. Would you mind, Jane?
Yeah. So here's mine. I think for me to
that.
fold it up than it was for me to create it on LessonPix.
That's right. That's a good way to look at that. Would you mind if I showed them how you made that?
No, go.
Did you share that in our sharing center or not?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, so let me stop your sharing. Yes.
Jane, I can't get over how much this has grown. Like, what a wealth of a resource this is. Since you started this, you spent like the year getting it started before you launched it. And I'm just in awe about how much is there now.
And, there's a lot of people that are involved in this. I have 2 of the most amazing web designers that kind of work in the back end, and I get these crazy ideas, and I call up Hans and Jesse, and I'm like, well, do you think we could do this? And they've been just wonderful. So it's not just, one person working on the site. There's a lot of
very cool.
Our consultants contribute. We have people in the community. We had a group of grad students in San Francisco State, I believe, that couldn't do their CFYs. So their professor said, well, why don't you create something? And so they came up with a school year of words, which is now on the lab as a resource. And so they needed some place for people to be able to access it. And so they called up me, and I was like, absolutely, because people would really benefit from this. So
I went in and I just found a one of your materials so that I could quickly have a bunch of Unity symbols, and I threw them in the tray. And let's pretend that these are the pictures you wanted in your cootie catcher, right? Because certainly that makes sense. If you go in to create materials and type in cootie catcher, cootie catcher, right, you'll notice that fortune tellers comes up. Okay. So you find your fortune tellers, cootie catchers is a nickname for that. You can type in any sentence or phrase or anything else that you want in here. You can change your background colors. You can change the order, obviously. When you hit, you can translate them to any other languages, which is kind of cool. And then it actually gives you some options. So in your case, I think you did the auto color 8 picture
Exactly.
version. So you've got 8 pictures, and it's going to automatically use this layout where you've got 4 colors, and then your pictures are put on the outside corners and on the insides of the square. So the numbers there show you where they're going to go. If you want more control over that, you can actually do this, where manually it's going to use the colors you chose on the previous page. But we're not going to do that. And we'll call this a Jane test for ATIA. And we do want to show the text underneath each one of them. And we just hit finish. And it's going to lay this out for you. It's going to be ready to go. You're going to open it up in Acrobat, and you're just going to cut this right here. And this down here at the bottom is for the men. Men are never trained on how to make cootie catchers, and we're useless when it comes to them. So this very clearly tells you how to fold this, and it works. It just, you fold this up, and you quickly can play, you know, the cootie catcher game with any subjects whatsoever, right?
And it's social and fine motor and and language, all kinds of good stuff in that one activity.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that we didn't have it. And Jane, how long ago was that? Do you remember?
It was probably about a year ago. Maybe
Yeah,
9.
well, no, it was longer than that, I think.
It was longer than that?
Like 4 years ago.
Was it really? Oh my gosh.
So Lori added it quickly. It didn't take 4 years for us to do it. That's just when we added it. And it's been great. It's one of our most fun ones. I bet it's one that a lot of people don't realize is there, the cootie catchers. But it's one of our more complicated origami-ish ones.
Well, the kids love it because it's kind of unexpected. It's not like your typical worksheet. And so it's a lot of fun to play with. And they have a lot of, I find that the more surprising you can make an activity, the more engaged a child is going to be.
Yeah. So
I was just saying, I think we need to do a LessonPix live where people in the audience and us share our favorite templates, because there are hundreds of templates, and I know I get stuck on like the ones that I use the most, and so there's so many ones that people are probably not aware of.
And then I find that I use a lot of them for not what they're supposed to be used for.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah,
I need something, and it's like, okay, what can I use in LessonPix that's going to be similar that I can modify and make it what I need it to be?
You know, we did a couple of things that are kind of important on that recently. I should probably show them. I bet Jane doesn't know some of them. So a lot of the times when Lori's making something, and we don't have, you know, nowadays you use PowerPoint because we have the plug-in and you just drag it wherever you want and you make whatever you want. And PowerPoint now exports to PDF perfectly as well. But one of the things that Lori has always done is she's always used picture cards, this grid, this simple picture card template for all kinds of stuff. Because one thing you can do is you can say, instead of saying, I want to fit all the cards on one page, you can say, I need 5 columns and 6 rows. Whoops. I can't get my mouse to work. 6 rows. And if you do the grid layout, you can move these wherever you want, right? So you can go in here and you can make, you know, the positioning, like in your case, Jane, you could do like your word sequences like this, where you're.
But I'm hoping you show how to combine icons.
So I will show how to combine icons, but there's 2 things that people don't realize about this template. One is, if you don't want the boxes to show up, right, you can always set this to white. And if you set it to white, when you make the material, it just has the pictures where you want them. Right? So it gives you a really good way to move them around. And the other thing we added recently is we added this checkbox right here that says hide unused cells. What that means, and that was probably about a year ago, even if I've got a color around them, like a red border, when I make this, only the cells that remain have them, right? So you can really move them around and lay them out exactly the way you want to. So here's what that will look like when we download it. All the other cells have been removed. And there are actually a lot of templates that have that remove unused cells now. So it's just something I think some people may not be aware of, but it certainly will help if they're trying to get the layout right. So Jane, you're right. I do need to show people how to combine symbols.
Because I use that tool constantly.
So tell me some things you would combine. I'll go into the Unity symbols.
So say you're going to do a pronoun phrase. You could
Sure.
pull up the pronoun I or you and then put it with a verb and have it in the box together.
Okay, so let's do you. And
So you could say like you want, and then you can show them that pronoun phrase on whatever material you're working on.
let's
Because
actually do a search for the words rather than try and use this, because there's so many of them that it's making my screen go slow. Because I've got two things going here. So if I do you, I will quickly get the Unity you. Is this one good?
sure,
All right, so I get you, and give me another one.
want.
Want. All right, so I've got you and I've got one. Not this one.
No, the guy with the cookie jar, the
Yeah,
yellow.
the guy with the cookie jar. You got it.
Yeah,
All right,
that
so
one.
you want. So I got these two pictures right here. The way we combine symbols is pretty simple. We use the symbol builder. We go into the symbol builder, and now we got some choices. We could do another search here. You could just search for you. It'll show me this, and when I drag this over, it'll drop it here, right? And then also, if I happen to have them in my tray, it'll just let me drag it over as well here. So I want you want, right? And make this as simple as I can. If I want to raise and lower things or rotate them, I can do that. But we'll call this you want. Oops. And all I have to do is hit create symbol. When I'm done creating that symbol, it's going to now make a new LessonPix symbol that's only visible in my account. And if I throw it in the tray, I can use it like any other symbol in LessonPix, and I can use it forever. So if I ever do a search in the future for you want, right, I will actually get that. It will come up right here. You want. See this one that says custom? That's in there, and I can always find it in the future. So I take it you use this a lot, Jane.
I use it all the time. And especially we put our Karen Erickson and Gretchen Hanser's reading curriculum on the Language Lab, and we needed to have all of those phrases. And so it just made it so much easier that I could dump it into, a single flashcard. It was fabulous.
Yeah, and you were using the symbols. You were making phrases out of symbols, right? Or were you using the words? Because we also added something you mentioned Karen Erickson. She and Caroline Musselwhite were on LessonPix Live in April. I don't know. We were talking about Karen's book and other stuff. And we added something for them that I'm not sure you probably know. We've always had the ability to add words as symbols, but they asked for it to be easier. So for example,
oh yeah.
If I clear my tray in here, I could say you want, comma, and then do I want, and we wanted, whatever. Choose either one of our standards, or go in and say, okay, I want the Lexan font. I want it to be filled black with no border, and add the new symbols to the tray.
Can you share your screen, Bill, so we can see?
Oh my God, you haven't been seeing my screen?
No, we're just watching you describe it.
You're doing a really good job.
You guys. All right. So now that I'm sharing my screen, I was going through the whole thing. So if you go to the Your LessonPix page and you scroll down a little bit, there's a section here where you can add text symbols. So for example, if you wanted words I want, you want, we wanted, whatever, and you wanted to make them in a particular layout, like I want them to be in blue with the Lexan font and a no border, and I check this box to add them to the tray. When I hit add words, it will not only create the symbols, it'll add them to the tray, and you can say, all right, I want to make bingo games, or I want to make dominoes, or whatever you want to make with these words. It lets you play with words instead of playing with symbols, right? And you can do, 1, 2, you can do whatever vocabulary you're working with. You can copy and paste the words from your vocabulary list, throw them in the tray, and very quickly make what you're looking for. So dominoes and whatever. It will put them just like this. So it's another way, if you're working with words, right, as you've moved to that, or if you're working with that for literacy, it very quickly lets you do that. Okay. So had you seen that? Let's start with that.
I have, yeah,
Okay, well, you're a pro. You're a pro.
because you showed it to me, because I was bugging you about it.
That sounds right. So, all right. So we are,
Lori wanted to know in the chat room if people share their custom symbols, if they can share their custom symbols. Did you want to show how you?
in a way you can. So that we have no ways to share custom symbols into our library, but you are allowed to share materials that use customized symbols. And if you do that, I can show that. So I will share. So this material I just made with the custom symbols in it.
That one doesn't have custom symbols.
I clicked on the wrong, it moved before I got there. So this one that I just made that does have custom symbols in it, right? So this has custom symbols and they are down here and they are custom. I'm allowed to make this public. And if I make it public, which I will rapidly undo because it's a garbage material, I have to choose a category and make it public. When I do that, I have to say, this is a test for Jane's live session and hit save changes. When I do that in the sharing center, this will be there and people can use these. Anybody can use these by dragging them to the tray. We can't have it so that they all show up in the search results. That causes issues and it causes confusion about the different types of material of symbols. So there are 3 types of symbols, right? So there are symbols that are custom, and those are green down here. There are our symbols, whether they're Unity or not. And then there are those that say mine. I don't actually have like any in here that are mine because I never, here you go, here's one. So this one right here is a picture where I added a picture. I uploaded a picture and then I customized it. Because this has a picture I've uploaded, it cannot be shared in the sharing center. It can only be shared privately or used by the user. And that's simply a privacy FERPA, HIPAA issue. We can't, if you're uploading pictures and copyright as well, like you can't upload a news to you picture and then share it in our sharing center, right? That would be a no-no or things like that. So, but yes, you can absolutely share it in the sharing center. If you've just taken our pictures and combined them into something new, that's absolutely fine.
And Bill, you might want to show, you can easily get back to those pictures. Let's say somebody's got a whole collection of them, because you can save that tray. So you don't even have to go searching back for somebody else's stuff. You can save that tray.
Sure. So yeah. So like let's go through here and say, all right, so I'm going to go to the sharing center. I found something in the sharing center like this one. I really liked all the pictures. So I loaded them in my tray right here. And now I know I'm going to use these again. I can always hit save, call these silly words for, words from demo. I create a collection called words from demo. And then at any point in the future from anywhere in the site, no matter what I have in the tray, I can always hit load, choose words from demo, and it will put them back in my tray. That makes sense? Yes?
Yep.
Yes?
Okay, Courtney had a question just now.
Yes.
She said, is there a way to have pictures and words when using the add-on in PowerPoint? I've only been able to add the pictures, but sometimes I want the words too.
So at this point, the right way to do that is to add the text using PowerPoint, and you can center and group them, and then you can move them around. We might add something in the near future for when you're using our materials. So I can give a preview, I guess, might as well. Lori, if I do this, I have to actually do it, right? Right. You know what I'm going to talk about. So one of the things we do right now is we have materials that you can download as PowerPoint. So instead of downloading this as a PDF, we would say, I want to use this as a PowerPoint file with tokens because it's a game I'm going to show. And we'd open it up in PowerPoint and it would look like this. We have tokens here so you can, put players on start and move it around. You can always delete the ones that you don't need, like this. and I don't know, move these guys over here, whatever, and have a game you're going to play. What we might do is to add the as the last page in your
Well, this is quite the preview that you're showing.
I
this.
know.
I haven't even seen this.
Yeah.
It doesn't work yet. I'm just announcing that I'm gonna add it. Now I have to do it. So what we will do is just like in the bingo game where we have the last page has the things to draw from the screen. We will add some way on this screen, like a checkbox that says include tray images. And if you do that, it will have a page where on it there will be movable square versions of this that look just like these that you can then move around your PowerPoint as well. I know Beth's excited. It's not a first time somebody's asked for it. The alternative would be to put something like that in the actual add-on over here. And the only reason we don't do that, and we can, but the reason that we don't put it here is that when you add an image in, it's such a royal pain in Microsoft to add that image in. If I showed you what I have to do to insert an image, it looks like line noise. It looks like just somebody threw up on the screen and what the code looks like. And so to add it here would be a mess. Whereas to add it as a page that's at the end and you can copy them and move up, I think that is a much more doable thing. So Lori, how does that answer her question? Is she happy?
I think that answer. She said, I do it like you explained. It just takes a while.
Yes.
That text box. But yeah, that's pretty cool that you announced that when, yeah, even Beth didn't know about it.
Well, now I have to do it, right?
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that how it works? If I had
But we only have a couple more
I'd be
minutes. The only other tool I use is when we make things high contrast.
Oh, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, let's show that quick. Sorry.
You mentioned the high contrast on Facebook, and
Yeah.
in addition, she's watching from a blizzard. So, well, in a blizzard. So,
Who is this?
Judy.
Oh, Judy Schoonover?
yeah, she knows.
All right, cool. All right, so I think you can see my screen or not? No. All right. So let's talk about making high contrast. We did this yesterday with the Maryland School for the Blind, but we're going to do it specifically for PRC. If you go into clipart and you go down to the Prenke-Romic symbols, or you do a search and you find, I don't know, is there one you want me to show, Jane?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Let's do something
Action
like
Man.
Action Man. Why
It's
not?
gonna come out weird looking.
Action Man doesn't come out weird.
No, he does. He looks okay.
All right, so here's Action Man, and by the way, he makes a verb out of whatever thing is in front of him. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So he's a Unity symbol. You can see here he is. He's got he's transparent, and we want to do a couple things with him. First, we want a black background. So if you uncheck this and you choose a color, or maybe I want a bright red background. Okay. I hit update. It will give me a bright red background. And then we have this new section called high contrast filters. So what this does is when I say add filters, it will ramp up the saturation, reduce the number of colors, make it brighter, and give it a white outline. And that's just awesome, right? So I decided, you know what, I'd rather have this black. Okay. And that's a high contrast Unity symbol in like no time at all. Right? And
There we
Jane's
go.
excited because she didn't have to have a whole set of new Unity high contrast symbols made.
It looks good.
It looks good. She approves. So that's how it works. You hit save custom symbol. It will now be everywhere that Action Man was. A copy of this will also be there. So you will slowly build this up in the PRC category. And you can do this not just to the Prenke-Romic symbols, but any symbol. So any LessonPix picture at all. I need a high contrast Santa Claus, right? I'm sure we have a Santa Claus in here. So I want to take Santa Claus saying ho, ho, ho. I want a black background. I want him high contrast. So I want him high contrast. I want a black background, and I have a high contrast Santa Claus. Okay. So Yes, the high contrast is awesome. I got to thank the folks at the Maryland School for the Blind. That would be Katie, Brittany, and
Karen,
Yeah.
Brittany, and Jen.
Karen. Yeah, that's right. Karen, Brittany, and Jen, who were there yesterday. They helped us a ton in getting those filters correct. And I think they're actually working out really, really well. All right, ladies, before we have to say goodbye to Ms. Odom, Beth, Lori, any other questions that we haven't gotten to?
I think most of them have been answered that have been on the chat and on Facebook. So we had lots of great participation. Thank you guys so much for coming and checking us out. I see
Great,
Sarah,
absolutely.
you just joined us. If you want to stick around, Sarah, I'm happy to answer any questions about LessonPix for you. And I think Mary Ann too.
If anybody is very confused by why on earth this looks like a stream, a live stream, when it's supposed to be the LessonPix booth, we've co-opted this for the hour, 45 minutes or so, to make good use of this time. We were asked to do a product showcase this week, and we decided that rather than show off LessonPix for another hour when we're available all day in the booth, we would invite our friends. And so Jane is one of our coolest friends. We've had a lot of cool friends. We had Brian Whitmer, we had Alyssa Wern, we had the folks
Caroline Musselwhite.
Caroline Musselwhite on Monday, right? And we've had a great time. And we do these LessonPix lives. If you're not following us, our Facebook page, if you do, you'll get notified when these things are coming up. Jane has been on with us before. Karen Erickson was on with us. God, a lot of different people have come on because a lot of people use LessonPix next to the really cool thing that they're doing. And so I love that. And I love the fact that we can bring them on and share their expertise as well. So Jane, thank you for joining us again. And
Thanks for having me. Nice to see you guys.
Great to see you.
Last but not least, thank you so much.
Yeah. And it is good. It's been great to spend ATIA virtually with everybody. It's not nearly as good as being in Orlando and actually having a cocktail. But it is good to end this with you today. I will tell you, I told you yesterday, at the end of this, I'll be ready for a cocktail. Right?
We could have done that live. We could next year, Bill. Next year.
Yeah, it better be next year. I don't think I can go another year virtual. I miss everybody. So, but all right, I will. And everybody on the chat says next year sounds good. So hopefully we will be seeing everybody between now, at least next ATIA, maybe at ASHA if that stays in person.
Or Isaac might be this summer, and then we can all meet in Kansas.
I just don't see that happening, but we'll see.
Where is it this year?
It's in Mexico.
Oh, well, yeah, it's not going to happen.
But I'll go live if it's there, Bill. I'm happy to go live if it's there.
But then the next one's going to be in Italy, so our plan B will be to meet in Italy.
Italy sounds wonderful.
That's plan B.
Right now, but
Yeah.
What's wrong with Orlando? You'd save a ton of money. All right. Thanks everybody. Jane, enjoy your award. Congratulations on your.
Oh, it's all Kevin. He's way smarter than I am.
Everybody should head over and check it out. This is like a special way to end out the AAC day with the presentation of this award to Kevin Williams, who is one of the PRC ambassadors.
Excellent. All right, and Beth, I can stick around and answer questions. Why don't you head over to the Ambassador Award? Lori and I will stick around and answer any LessonPix questions, but we are going to stop the stream. Goodbye, everybody. We will announce the next one whenever we're ready.